On the Ground Parenting is a project of Muskoka Family Focus, a registered Canadian charity. They rely on your support to keep the show going and to continue their great work helping families. To connect with our hosts and to show your support, join us at patreon.com/on the ground parenting. You can join for free or for any amount you would like to give.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to On the Ground Parenting. I am Sandy Inkster, and I'm joined with my parent ed colleagues,
Sam
and Kelly.
Do you believe it? We're saying farewell to 2025. It's 2026. We're on the cusp of it. And woohoo! It's a night when some people like to celebrate a lot, maybe too much, and maybe other people are a little bit like me and you're a little more low key. But we do like to talk about what families might be able to do, how they could celebrate, and we've got a few game ideas that we're going to offer in this session. And the first one is Mad Libs. If you've never heard of Mad Libs before, it's maybe 4 or 5 sentences. You write a paragraph, or you go online and you find a Mad Lib, and there are blanks for words or numbers, and we've written one that's applicable to us somewhat, and we're going to demonstrate what a Mad Lib is. So, Sam, Kelly, are you ready?
Ready.
For New Year's Eve fun. Here
Woohoo!
we go. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm going to be inviting Sam and Kelly to write down some words, as I mentioned, and altogether there are 17. So I'll start off with name of a parent ed colleague. Game. A number between 2 and 22. Why that range? I have no idea. It was just sounded good to me. Descriptive word. A type of activity that would be family friendly. Type of food. And another type of food. Beverage. Name of parent ed colleague. Something to see with. It might be a piece of equipment or... And the next one is a tool or a piece of equipment. You're anticipating something. You're getting ahead of me. A name of a parent ed colleague. Action word. Color. Type of food. State of being or emotion word. And then last one is exclamation word. So let's just alternate. You'll take turns. So Kelly, you'll go first and then Sam. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Time to get ready, shouted
Justin.
It's almost time for the annual parent ed teams.
Pictionary.
We need
6
players to make it
Loudly.
before we,
singing,
though we need to eat some
Cheese.
and
comfort, food.
there will be
Hot chocolate.
to wash it down. I really hope
Sam,
remembers to bring
Flashlight.
and book the
hammer,
because
Kelly.
is sure to
skip,
the
Green.
broccoli.
and feel.
Happy.
Yippee!
Said everyone. Oh, let's go.
That was fun. Just as a side note, Kelly, we both had hammer. That was our tool. Both of us.
I'll tell. We also both had green, and there was something else we had the same, but I won't tell you what tool I was going to write down and change my mind. That's what I was laughing at.
And it's like these other games like telephone. The more people you have, the more crazy or distorted it becomes. And yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it?
That was fun.
This was just making me remember that this was my dad's family's tradition. So somebody would write a story that kind of summed up the year, the adventures the family had, the places they went, but they would leave all these blanks in it. And at the Christmas mealtime, people would go around and throw in these extra words, and then they'd read it back, both as a fun game, but also as the summary of the year that they just had together.
Oh, it's fun.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I have a group of friends. We call ourselves, it's a sanity maintenance group. We would get together to help preserve our sanity. And at our Christmas get together, I would bring forward the year in review. And so it was posed in question form: who said what, where, or why? Or so it was a little bit of a quiz for them, but
I love it.
it was a lot of fun doing that as well, too. And that was a quick example of pulling it all together. There are words that are hilarious that don't fit, and it ends up being causing people to just split a gut because of how hilarious and ridiculous it is. So this was about, the underlying thing was maybe about writing what some people call New Year's resolutions. What do you know about resolutions, Sam or Kelly?
I know that I don't usually stick to them very long.
Yeah, I don't think I've done New Year's resolutions in a long time because it just seems so strivey and prescriptive and solid. But I have been thinking a little bit about like what intentions, what things do I want to put in place as the new year turns over.
I agree. I find that as well. Just that whole, like, it feels like you're getting graded on whether you've passed or failed if you create a resolution. But if you set your intentions, you're striving towards something that isn't necessarily like a yes or a no, or you did it or you didn't do it. You can have progress without having to have perfection, I guess, is what the difference is for me in my little brain.
Yeah, and I think many people have let go of the whole idea of New Year's resolutions just for all of those same reasons that you've identified. And as you mentioned too, many people feel very unsuccessful quite soon in the new year, which can be problematic if you're thinking about all this wonder for starting off a new year. So, yeah, setting an intention or maybe an aspiration, that might be something that we might be focusing on. So, thinking about your own personal life, or maybe even working with children, spending time with children, your own children, how would you talk about this with them, about looking into the new year? What's the big hype anyway?
Hmm.
I think that talking to kids or talking to my family in general, sometimes after the Christmas chaos has kind of faded away, and especially after New Year's Day has happened or just as it's happening, there's a little bit of downtime, a little bit of quiet time before the next school year starts or the hubble bubble starts again. And for us, sometimes we've thought about what activities should we keep doing? What activities should we shift? What adjustments do we need to make so that our family functions well? Do we need a night off together? Could we move somebody's music lesson? Could we do something different?
How about for you, Sam?
We have talked a fair bit recently about trying to improve skill levels and whatever that looks like, whether it's being more skillful in how we're talking to each other or being more aware of the impact that we're having on each other in the house. These have been topics that have been coming up a lot, which seems really apropos as we're coming into a new year, to be able to think about how we want to be with each other and experiencing each other, if that makes sense.
Oftentimes we would have a fire. Well, not just on New Year's, we're very fire loving people, but New Year's especially. And what comes to mind for me when I think about it is, it's almost like there's a little bit of reverence. There's this pause.
Hmm.
If you've been celebrating already over the holidays, and that doesn't always necessarily mean imbibing alcoholic beverages. It could just be lots of people together. So if you've had a lot of that, maybe your sensory input has been quite high. And I found that New Year's Eve, because we never went out to parties, it was always more intimate gatherings with friends or family in that fire. And there was always a chance for people to share. And for me, that was what it was about. It was about, how do I want to move into this new year? So I like that pause. We talked earlier, coming into September, how September is regarded as a new year because there's a lot of beginnings. Children starting school, whether it's just starting center-based childcare or going into an elementary school, moving on to college, university, or starting a new job. There's just this essence of beginnings then. And now we get that pause. We've had sort of like the celebration, and now we get to reflect on and come into the new year. And I really like that opportunity to see what's been happening and where I would like to make change, and then how would I like to do that. So I think that that's sort of multifaceted for me. It's noticing what do I want to carry forward, or what do I want to build on, and how am I going to do that?
Yeah, and the other piece, as you were saying, that comes up for me is, what do I want to leave in this year? Sometimes I like to clean out. I like to clean up my desk. I like to clean out a closet, but I also like to sometimes write notes, whether I burn them in the fire or leave them. Just, what do I want to leave here in this year and not deal with in the next year, not carry forward with me? What needs to be let go of?
Hmm. So we talked a little bit about, the gathering. We had this Mad Libs game, and we've also been talking about jokes. It might be jokes as in game playing, like sometimes with young children. Playing hide and go seek is a lot of fun. I played with my grandson the other day, and he hid. I had to close my eyes and count to 30, I think it was. He decided, and no kidding, he hid right in front of me. He was in the lilac bush, and I thought, "Okay, avert your eyes right, avert your eyes right." But so these are some of the things that you're faced with the developing sense of awareness of children, right? That he felt that he was hidden and he couldn't be seen, and he was right front and center. But there are jokes, and at his age, I think about 4, he started to get into joke telling and appreciating the humor of a joke. Now sometimes the humor is his own interpretation of the humor, but he's getting it bit by bit. So we've gone through some different jokes. Are there jokes that are favorites that you've been telling?
Well, I have to share my father-in-law's absolute favorite, and he passed away the beginning of COVID, was, what's the difference between broccoli and snot? You can't get kids to eat broccoli.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's such a good
And
one.
my mother-in-law will be mortified that I repeated it because she hated it every time he told it, but
That's so
he
funny.
told it every time there was broccoli on the table.
Oh, that's a good one. Are there any from your family, Sam?
There are jokes constantly in my family. Some of them I cannot share on this podcast now because my children have much older senses of humor now than they used to. But there's this one joke that they both just thought was the funniest thing ever. And it was, where does the king keep his armies? In his sleeveys.
I'm with your kids. That's my kind
It's
of
pretty
crack.
great. And that was their grandmother was really good with puns and silly little jokes like that. So that was one that she shared with them. And she passed away a few years ago now. But yeah, that was one of hers. So
Oh, that's great. One that I really like, and because it goes with another little bit of a game, sort of, a weasel goes into a restaurant, and the server said, "Hey, I've never served a weasel before. What would you like?" Pop goes the weasel. Oh my gosh. I think that they're just so funny. Okay, so we've offered a few games, a few activities that you could do, and let's get back to wrap this up. So, from on the ground, rising up for you, what has significance for this upcoming year? What's your intention? What's your aspiration? What's an affirmation maybe you want to make, even?
I think a new year for me, there's always new opportunities to learn, and that's bubbling up. And I think there's two things about this podcast that I would offer. I'm curious for my own self to figure out, what is it I want to learn? Where do I want to grow? How do I want to develop? Or what skills do I want to develop more? And an invite to our listeners, as we're going into January 2026, we're also going to be offering another round of Bounce Back and Thrive. And maybe in your intentions, as you're thinking about your own parenting, maybe you want to come and hang out with us live as we teach Bounce Back and Thrive this year.
That would be so delightful to have some of our listeners come and join us for a program. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's really springing up for me as we're entering into this new year is just appreciation for the fact that I'm entering into kind of another era of parenting now, because my youngest is 15, so there's no kids in my house anymore, really. Like, there's still, he's still growing and he's not a full adult, but it's a shift that have really taken note of this year. He towers over me now. I am by far the shortest person in my house, and that's just the visual reminder of how things change as life goes on. So I think embracing this new era of where we are in our life.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, what's rising up would be a couple of words. And in the mindfulness groups that I'm involved in, we often talk about choosing words to sort of be a landing place for us throughout the year. So we keep coming back to having that as an intention. And for me, I think of connection as being really important with every person. And at the same time, I know that connection with some people is not always the easiest for me. And so compassion is the other aspect, that other word, the other practice, the other way of being that I want to focus on, bring into my way of being. So that's connection and compassion. So Kelly, you mentioned BBT, Bounce Back and Thrive. And how about offering a little bit of information about this parenting program?
Sure. So Bounce Back and Thrive, I've had the pleasure of facilitating a couple of times. It's 6 weeks where parents get to come together and talk about building their own capacity for resilience, their own pieces of building their own strength and abilities. And then an additional 4 weeks where we take all those things that we've learned and then we start to talk about how does that apply to dealing with 2-year-old meltdowns? How does that apply to dealing with a 17-year-old who wants the car? How can we live that with the kids and the other people in our life? And I think listeners have heard me say this again and again, but I think the more skills we build with our own families as parents and as leaders, we get to then take into any other place that we exist in the world as employees, as managers, as leaders in the workplace. And I really think the more we build these skills, the happier we all are.
Sam, do you want to add some more information to that?
Sure. So the sessions are usually about 1.5 to 2 hours long, and it's once a week. All of our parent programs are free, which is why we do the things we do to try to generate donations and things like that, because we want to be able to continue to offer them for free. So it's a great program, and we can offer it. Well, this particular one we're talking about will be offered online, but for those of you who are listeners in the Muskoka area, we also offer programs in person. So there are options available. And I just would love to reiterate what Kelly has said about the program and how useful it is. It really is. There's skills that you can use with your children, but they are absolutely skills that you're going to use with everyone in your life.
And I want to add that I am noticing everywhere, whenever there is an inquiry about my mental health, about my physical well-being, or how can I improve something, I will say that mindfulness and meditation, if it's not the number one, it is at least number 2 or number 3 on the list. And Bounce Back and Thrive actually has many mindfulness practices embedded into it, so that it is very complementary as far as giving you skills to help yourself and your children in many different ways. So that's it, everyone. It's been a joyful and wonderful year of 2025 for us launching this podcast on the ground parenting. And we wish you all the best. And we want to say,
Happy
New Year!
2026! Woo! Like the sparklers!
Yay!
Shh, wear your best, strut your stuff. See you in the new year.
On the Ground Parenting is a production of Muskoka Family Focus's parent education program. It is made possible by the generous donations of listeners like you. If you'd like to make a donation, sponsor an episode, or just ask a question of one of our hosts, go to linktr.ee/onthegroundparenting. On the Ground Parenting is produced and published by Red Juice Studios. To learn more, go to redjuicestudio.com. Thanks for listening.